Olive Garden, apparently. Idiot. No, welcome to the COVID comedy special. We are here in the beautiful Three Chins Theater in sunny Wuhan, China. The locals call it the Pfizer Bioweapons Manufacturing Facility, Mengeles Laugh Factory, and Anthony Fauci's summer retreat. So our groundbreaking show can be summed up with an interpretive dance that goes something like this. They fucked you. It's called They Fucked You because they did. Thank you. Why does it matter? Because dead people, and it's funny, plus they're about to do it again. But wait, there's more. Holy shit, there's so much more. COVID is not just the plague of all plagues, the existential threat to humanity and all that fun stuff.
It is odorless, tasteless, dissolves instantly in liquid, and is among the more deadly poisons known to man.
It's actually a comedy. So yes, they fucked you, but they did give you front row seats for the funniest comedy show in history, featuring the funniest little fucker you've ever heard. No, not Joe Rogan. He's not actually funny unless you count 1,000 anal probe references.
What? What's that all about? The alien anal probe.
Per single Netflix special. Funny.
Imagine if you have your greatest orgasm ever on an operating table on a spaceship. Oh, Jesus!
Well, it's kind of funny, I suppose, like when your 11-year-old son is wearing mom's dresses and all the zucchini in the refrigerator keep disappearing. It's more curious than funny. But the COVID stuff is way funnier. So the COVID monster swooped down upon us with gems like, it's killing everybody in the world. By Tuesday or whatever. Well, 0.001% of everybody. It's in the air. It travels across countertops and makes deadly little COVID babies right there in your Prius. Apparently, so we better jab a test prod way up your nose. How about one up your bum, just for fun? Right, Anderson?
What did we find? Well, it was interesting. So you had, for instance, your glasses, your phone. On the phone, they found fecal strep again. Something we've been talking about on your phone.
Or Joe? Out of an abundance of caution, or an abundance of masochism, or sadism, or maybe both. How about 13 days to stop the spread? 6 feet social distancing. We're locked out until we get the one shot to save them all. But wait, you need another one since the first one gave you COVID. Weird. Teens are getting myocarditis. Moms are miscarrying at about, well, golly, it's like 100% after a safe and effective healthy jab or two. So we better jab infants. Good call. And gather up all the old sick people and put them in COVID spas or death camps or whatever. And don't forget your masks when you don't go outside, because you're not allowed to. Maybe 3 masks out of an abundance of stupid. Because the sun is bad for you and sucking CO2 is great, so suck it. Fucking hilarious. Excess deaths, well, that's comedy gold. We'll get into that in a moment. Plus, all along, if you question anything, well, you're killing grandma. Obviously, of course you are, you anti-science Neanderthal.
Yeah, next time maybe do a little research.
And all the absolutely hysterical nonsense that scared the shit out of everybody into absolutely hysterical hysteria was brought to you by a sniveling little lying sack of shit, Anthony Fauci, the funniest man on earth, not Bert Kreischer, definitely not Bill Burr, who fucking sucks now. No, it's the funniest fucker ever, Anthony fucking Fauci. So this is the definitive COVID comedy special, and not just because it's the only one, or because Pfizer, brought to you by Anthony Fauci, tends to sue and murder and deplatform people who oppose them, but not necessarily in that order. But man, they do a number on the doctors who question the brilliant consensus that said, hey, guess what? Locking down is not just great for prisons, but kids too. Good thinking.
Tremendous sense of isolation.
Well, that sounds fine to me.
Here's Johnny.
Or when these crazy heretics had a question or two about jabbing untested goo into people. Well, maybe isn't always going to go great, despite obviously being safe and effective, because they told us so. So the keepers of our health set out to serve and protect you by going after these crazy questioning doctors, taking away their jobs and their cool white coats and lynching them. Metaphorically, but I don't think we do that anymore. That's still bad, right?
Hey, boys!
I heard we don't like that anymore.
Look what I got here! Hey, where do
white women at?
Anyway, but they string them up by their stethoscope. They sue them, they bankrupt them, but joke's on them when they come for me. I don't have a stethoscope, even though I should, since I know more about doctoring than the Pfizer fraud horse. And right, did you know the Pfizer CEO is a doctor of animals? A veterinarian. A vet, like a bunny doctor, or maybe it's for sheep.
I hope you feel the same way.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. It's a comedy. Because it's a comedy.
We know that.
It has to be.
That's a fact.
Anyway, come after me, Pfizer, all you want. I liquidated all my assets and invested in my new Nigerian Prince Friend's African tanning salon chain. It's actually a Beyonce whitening salon. Maybe both. But my Nigerian friend promised that the investment is paying off soon as I send him more money. But it's definitely a great investment. But not as great an investment as Pfizer buying Fauci and the rest of the flock of murderous prick whores. Murder of whores, gaggle of grifters. Maybe both. But the Pfizer investment to buy all media, government, same thing. Grifter whores. That investment paid off big time, even better than Nancy Pelosi's magical stock portfolio. You know the one where the drunk retard parlayed a couple $100K congressional salary into a $500 million or so, while drunk.
Intellect.
And retarded.
I have great confidence in the integrity.
Did you hear that?
Integrity.
Man, she's got a real talent for picking stocks. Weird. Huh. But it's nothing like Big Bad Pharma's investment return, so, you know, they're a bit protective, a bit touchy even, if you suggest, gosh, mandating everyone in the world must jab untested. Well, first untested and then fake tested, which seems worse. It might be a bit risky and not very sciencey. Anyway, some silly buffoons with a bunch of letters after their name pondered buffoonery. Shut up, it's a word. Buffoonery.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
They ask, does it seem weird to anyone that little kids' hearts are exploding after soccer practice? Or maybe following the science off a cliff is maybe bad? Not very sciencey. Well, cross those Pfizer bricks and they're hospital hero minions.
Okay.
And you tend to end up in Hillary's trunk, metaphorically, or literally, maybe both. It's gross. Like her favorite lawyer who somehow committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head a couple times and then wrapping himself in a rug and then going to the park or something plausible like that.
What difference at this point does it make?
Or don't go into Hillary's trunk like Uma Aberdeen did. Ew. Just don't go near Hillary's trunk is the point. Ew. Anyway, this is the definitive COVID comedy special, and not just because it's the only one, probably the last one, but because you'll get the truth, all of it, because I'm uncorruptible, principled, and not a sellout late-night comedy corporate shill for pharma overlords.
There was Alpha, then Delta, then Omicron next, but this latest variant might be the best.
Another key difference is this will be funny, because I am...
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown or a loser?
And they're not, and COVID is unbelievably funny, like Anthony fucking Fauci funny, like comedy tragedy funny. You may have bought and paid for, begged for, your own murder weapon. Oh, happy dagger. Shakespeare, brought to you by Pfizer. It's kind of funny. So tonight we'll learn everything there is to know.
You want answers?
Everything you don't want to know. Everything you were afraid to ask.
I want the truth.
Or so afraid you were too dumb to ask.
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
And we'll laugh and cry and possibly catch a case of myocarditis, which is going around these days.
Do you know when the myocarditis is most common among these adolescent boys? After the second dose.
All right, that's bad. Okay. All right, important safety
As
tip.
we learn a bunch about COVID and the vaccine, and maybe even scratch that itch, that one that might be getting a bit gangrenous. I don't know. But it needs attention. So that itch, that nagging something whispering in your ear, like when you woke up in Bill Cosby's basement with your panties on your head and a couple of martini glasses and Jell-O pudding cups strewn about the floor.
Fat-free Jell-O instant pudding.
It was roofies.
And wondered, did I just get fucked from that cocktail? Or maybe you're Chief Jagerbomb from the...
Stupid.
From the Lost Hopi tribe in the western U.S. in 1862. I know it's dumb, just stick with me.
Stupid.
Just stick with me on this. It might get better, hopefully.
Stupid plan.
I'm not great at analogies, apparently. So, you wake up on the floor of your teepee, you see a crudely drawn deed of sale notarized with spit and vomit as they did in the Wild Wild West. Or just the West, you idiots of the internet. But through your hangover haze, Chief Jaegerbaum... Chief Investment Officer, the drunk guy, he's drunk and he handles the money. That's the point. I know it's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. Anyway, you wake up on the floor of your teepee and see that you just traded Arizona for 2 bottles of Jack Daniels and a travel-sized mouthwash and wonder, did I just get fucked from that cocktail? All right, okay, how about maybe a slightly better reference from this century, or whatever. Will help scratch that nagging itch, that little voice inside your head that's been incessantly, quietly at first, maybe like that creepy Biden thing.
No one's saying that.
Hey, no.
Lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eye.
Do you have any want to follow up on any of that?
Hey, no joke. Anyway, it's been nagging. It's an analogy, I think. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, so as the panic and insanity has tapped down a bit, almost enough for you to think your very own thoughts. Almost. Anyway, that itch that's been nagging, slowly but surely, getting louder even, like 6 months into your third marriage kind of nagging, and you think, gosh, she sure eats a lot for a stripper. I wonder if she's ever going back to med school on that scholarship. All right, okay. Maybe it's that nagging suspicion that your Nigerian prince friend from the internet, that maybe he has no intention of returning the $20,000 that I lent him. I mean that you lent him. I didn't lend him that. Again. And you know what? I don't think he's going to turn it into the $2 million he promised. I mean, you don't think that in this hypothetical thing. So anyway, hopefully, maybe there's just an inkling, dawning, chewing away, nagging suspicion. Now, maybe, a little bit, coming. All right, okay, maybe. Okay, let's try one more. Maybe it's more like when you went trick-or-treating and arrived at a nice little old Italian guy's home, and he invites you in because he's a kindly little old man. Fucking funny, too, as it turns out. And you're very trusting and maybe scared for some reason, but I'm having a hard time shoehorning that into this metaphor? Analogy. I don't know.
when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point.
Anyway, you're very trusting, maybe scared, and he offers you treats, let's say from Pfizer or Moderna or a couple of chocolate-covered boosters from Novavax, but not that weird hard candy in a dish that smells like moth farts. The candy, not the dish. Maybe both. Anyway, you see some ivermectin in the garbage, but you figure this nice little old man is probably a jockey, so he just used that for his horse. As directed. Anyway, you sit on his plastic couch. Old Italians are always plasticking up their couch as a prophylactic, although Fauci doesn't seem to like prophylactics much. Not that this is his house, legally speaking. Plus, it's a farce, and farces are not true by definition. And this one is true, and it's a farce.
Literally a farce, exactly, yes.
And it's true, the fucking Fauci comedy show, remember? But anyway, we'll learn about his prophylactic aversions later, although this time it's good, the plastic couch prophylactic thing, because there's a trail of, like, ketchup or something streaking down Fauci's plastic couch, dripping from your short shorts, because you went trick-or-treating as Bruce Jenner, because you miss him. Although I think that he heard he misses him, too.
Jenner sparkled in a stunning Versace dress, a stark contrast to Bruce Jenner, the athlete we've known for decades.
He misses Bruce. She misses Bruce. We all do. Just shut up.
God, why'd you do this?
So you wake up groggy on the floor of that nice little old Italian jockey's basement after sliding off the plastic-covered couch, allegedly, allegorically, just definitely not legally. Anyway, you're waking up groggy in Fauci's basement from the third Pfizer jab, a second Moderna, and no ivermectin horse meds in sight. And you're wondering, did I just get fucked from that cocktail? Also, your anus apparently fell into your shoe and your testicles exploded, or they will, like Cardi B's cousin. So, yes, that itch. Are you feeling something, right? A little bit. Wherever it is. So obviously, legally, none of that riveting fairy tale had anything to do with COVID or the COVID vaxes, though on advice of counsel, the voices in my head, and my manager, who has no idea how to sell this show for some reason, we will still expose the lies and the liars that are COVID and the, on rare occasion, not very healthy vax. But we won't get into the minutia of COVID or the legalities of slander, hopefully, or the facts about vaccinations and boosters and other sciencey stuff like the spike protein in the jab, which they eventually admitted to.
The viral quote, spike protein, which these products cause patients' bodies to manufacture.
In a little microscopic particle, and having that particle infect your cells
is a genetically engineered toxin.
But what they didn't tell you are the living critter nanobots in there, and when applied to a field, getting energized to do bad things. A field like the cell phone glued to your head. The 5G towers erected by every elementary school. Anyway, those little living creatures, the vaxbots, not the kids, are self-assembling. That self-assembling living robot things.
Freaky. Can you put it in a person's brain?
Tooling around inside of you.
Absolutely. Without killing the person? Oh. Maybe?
Those kids can't assemble shit. They can't even tie their shoes with those Velcro cheating things. But the Vax nanobots can assemble anything, like, oh, I don't know, cancer or linguini blood, as shown by Dr. Anna Malasia, though she didn't mention the linguini thing, that's me. And a bunch of undertakers who found massive linguini-like clots clogging up the works.
These are 7 different people who came in to us and were embalmed, and during that process...
Proteins with sequences like that are known to be acutely toxic to blood cells, prompting blood clots.
This spilled out of their arteries.
Before the keepers of our health stopped doing autopsies. Ha! Funny. But anyway, Dr. Anna is brilliant and really pretty and is almost as credentialed as Dr. Jill, given that Dr. Anna has an MD, a PhD, and an electron microscope, and notably doesn't want to murder everyone in the world, unlike Dr. Jill, who is just pretty, retarded, galactically. But I don't mean the First Lady. Dr. Jill wants to kill everybody, but she does want to keep her pedo husband.
There's nothing pervy here.
Propped up on meth cakes and in presidential depends for a little while longer and for a few more trips on Air Force One and to continue to pretend she's Marie Antoinette. She was on the cover of Vogue. Dr. Jill, not Lady Marie, and not Melania Trump, the model. Good God. That's good stuff, right? It's like other brilliant stuff, like the recent banning of plastic water bottles at San Francisco Airport, but no banning of plastic bottles filled with sugar drink poison. Big Sugar, the industry, 2 scoops in a microphone.
This guy?
Anyway, plastic water bottles, bad, but Big Sugar, doling out the most addictive drug we've got, except stupid, maybe, is good. Well done. The point is, Dr. Jill is like a plastic water bottle filled with stupid. And she's not very pretty. I like my Machiavellian villains sexy like Bond girls or Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab, that's better.
No,
He just got hit with some Me Too accusations. So gross. Those poor little girls. Alexander Soros and Zelensky and French President Macron. I know, not girls, but twinks, which is close enough for the pervs. But isn't it funny how ugly inside manifests as ugly outside? Always judge a book by its cover, that's what I say. It's right there. Just see anyone in the teachers union, ugly and retarded and XXXL pantsuit.
We are going to deal with that.
With your looks, maybe bitchy's not the way to go.
Couldn't wait to go on paid vacation, also called being a teacher.
And if I wanted to sit around all day going nowhere, I'd be a teacher.
And lock kids out of school until those poor little tards went nuts. It's evil and ugly. But Joy Reid, ugly inside, filled with hate for gays and whitey, and ugly outside with ugly. Oh, tons of
Ugly, disgusting.
Bill Maher and Jon Stewart look like weasel hacks and sound retarded. Pretty sure there's retarded genitalia there, too.
They just made that up.
Whoopi Goldberg looks and sounds like a retarded Buddha, reincarnated for a return to the snack bar.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
And it also looks like maybe I've lost track of my point. No, I didn't. They're evil and annoying, which is worse. All right, but a lot of use of retarded there, too.
That's fun to say.
But lighten up, people. It's just a word. Meaning truncated. Truncated, not having reached full expression of potential. Context is everything. You want a tumor to become retarded? There are beautiful retards in music, like Beethoven. Dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. Musical retards. Miley Cyrus. Another timely reference. But obviously, I'm not maliciously insulting any actually mentally challenged folks like Corky or even his evil twin, Joe Scarborough. Or Corinne Jean-Pierre.
I see what you're trying to do.
All right, really. So the so-called mentally challenged are the most beautiful people you'll ever meet.
We are in
an unusually powerful source of happiness.
There's even a Harvard study, one of the rare to be trusted, that shows mentally challenged people bringing elevated levels of happiness to all around them.
How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall? But watching you stand.
They're the best among us. But we're talking about people who deserve to be mocked and called names with real malice because their lies and their general idiocy caused your mental capacity to be truncated, inhibited enough to believe the lies about many things, certainly COVID. The Whoopies and the Dr. Jills of the world, actual morons, which was a psychological diagnosis, by the way, moron. Or the so-called smart ones like Jon Stewart and Bill Maher, who come in at about 5 points above the typical Gumpian audience member at their show.
I'm not a smart man.
Still 44 below mine, by the way.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
47 below Owen Benjamin, that funny giant. Anyway, we're talking about terrible people doing terrible things to you, to the world, hiding, lying, obfuscating, dumbing things down. But so for the sake of healing and love, I won't use that word again, especially if it could unintentionally be mistaken by the loveliest people on the planet as anything hurtful. Even as a gesture of love for Whoopi and KJP and Jon Stewart and Bill Maher, I won't say the word again. I won't. Fuck those retards. Last time. All right, it's all right. Book covers, magazines. Jill Biden on the cover of Vogue makes you miss Megan Rapinoe on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which is known to, with one look, turn men gay. Or at least Oedipus their eyes out. More Shakespeare. I'd rather see Michelle Obama's Playgirl centerfold. Check it out, Rogan. She's definitely packing a lot of anal probe material.
Don't tell him how to touch your butt.
Down there. Anyway, if you swallowed any of that stuff, well, you were made for COVID. So, though this is the definitive COVID comedy special, we won't bother detailing Dr. Robert Malone, the mRNA patent guy, who pointed out the evils of the Vax platform.
The mRNA that I was working with and the inventions that I came up with are fundamentally different from what's being used in the current product.
In the animal studies, all of the animals died.
It has revealed a number of problems with the genetic vaccine technology.
Which wasn't a vax at all, of course, and we'll stick with the funny stuff, like if you take the vax, you get the disease.
Did not prevent infection, replication, and spread.
As Big Pharma becomes more evil and corpulent and bloated than Hillary in a pantsuit, or Hillary without a pantsuit, ew. And we'll just keep it light.
A rapidly spreading pandemic due to a lethal respiratory pathogen.
Or not, apparently not. Wait, one more not light thing that we won't discuss because, like Hillary, it's too heavy. Well, that the not a vaccine, mRNA vaccine, is actually gene therapy, which is a nice way to say DNA-altering Frankenstein abominations.
From Moderna and Pfizer BioNTech are not natural RNAs.
Into the very womb of impervious nature herself.
Is a genetically engineered toxin.
Mandated into your pie hole by people who want you dead.
It's a criminal conspiracy of criminal racketeers resulting in global terrorism for the purpose of profiteering and murder.
And maybe just has a little something to do with the 20 million excess deaths that have occurred not since COVID, but since the vax.
What's been discovered now, 4 studies have indicated SV40, simian virus 40.
It turns out that the data is unambiguous. We did not have a pandemic. We had genocide.
These are known cancer-promoting DNA segments found in both Pfizer and Moderna.
Yes, say please, get vaccinated.
We'll keep it light.
In other words, countries with more COVID-19 vaccines in 2021 had higher excess mortality.
I told you, we'll keep it light. Of course, we will continue with the overarching theme that everything they say is a lie and everything they believe is a fraud. And they'll do anything, especially when they're scared or stupid or maybe both. Anal swab? Anyone? Not you, Joe. You've had enough. Or believe anything from a little bitty comedian in a lab coat recommending diapers on your face and anal swabs somewhere else just to be on the winning team for once. And also they love playing dress up because they're losers who couldn't get laid in high school, but like when that was tough to do, you had to be cool or handsome or at least a possibly rapey football player with a rich dad.
That's me.
But you know, now it's like anal sex is a goodnight kiss. That's not good. Don't do that. The point is putting the anal in analogy is what I'm trying to do. Plus making this COVID comedy special completely unsellable. Anyway, they couldn't get laid, the high school losers, and now they're mandating how you live your life. And they're stealing all your money and you're begging for it, and they're making your balls explode. We'll get to that. But you may ask, who are they? Or who is they if you attended public schools? They, the lying, stealing, ball exploder enthusiasts of the days of COVID? So since we're trying to save the world with this stuff, we won't mention they are liberals. Mostly they're liberals. But also because I want young, dumb liberals to come to me as we together replace the young and dumb and full of stuff that is so retarded and fill you with stuff that's good and true, even both sometimes. And replace The Daily Show and Bill Maher with something that's actually funny and smart and without snarky, retarded opinions from weasel face hacks. No snark at all from me about any weasel face loser hacks. See? Funny, smart, snark-free. It's a nice package, an impressive package, don't you think? Although I think that's the first time that's ever been suggested about me. See? No snark. I aim that one at me, and not at any retarded, snarky weasel face who's hung like a field mouse. Field mice? Zing. So we also won't focus much on some tough stuff like the large numbers of COVID deaths, which are real, but were actually because of stopping use of proven early and prophylactic treatments.
Hydroxychloroquine showed about a 50% reduced risk of hospitalization and a 75% reduced risk of mortality.
And great ideas like forcing infected people back into nursing homes where people die when the soup is too hot.
There's something wrong with the soup. Is the soup too hot?
And even when they couldn't hold the charade together, it actually finally did a double-blind follow-the-science clinical trial, which they had weaseled around forever.
Why is that, do you think?
Because they're lying, cheating, stealing, weasel sacks of shit. But whatever Pfizer-backed study concluded, well, gosh, they said, it's great, totally works, safe and effective, thank Pfizer, prayers to the Fauci bobblehead were answered. But you know what? They forgot to mention that the vaccinated group had more deaths than the placebo group in the trial. More deaths getting vaxxed than not getting vaxxed. That's big, don't you think? It's really big. Or maybe it's just more words that have never been used describing Bill Maher or Jon Stewart's genitals. But since, as it turns out, this was all from the Anthony fucking Fauci comedy show, it was a joke, like Bill Maher's and Jon Stewart's genitals.
Your testicles and
all right, so maybe we'll note some other historical, murderous, and funny patterns like AZT for AIDS, courtesy of Dr. Fauci and the gang in the 80s. That Fauci fucker has been working on this comedy show for a while. And we won't waste time on Dr. Senator Rand Paul, take that, Dr. Jill, who's been focused on exposing the U.S.-funded Wuhan lab, which definitely knocked out this bioweapon.
Biowarfare enabling technology.
With the Department of Defense hacks.
3 weeks after 9/11, there was an anti-vax attack.
Including Debbie Burke, with the stupid fucking scarf.
Dr. Deborah Birx, saw a lot of her, all that nonsense about her scarf.
Fauci with the stupid fucking everything.
The lab that it almost certainly came from was by a vaccine maker who is partners with Tony Fauci.
Very superstitious.
One of our top biodefense/biowarfare experts who was in Wuhan at the time.
The military went into that lab at night. They took 22,000 coronavirus samples and removed them, and they've never been seen again.
And we won't bother with the hundreds of U.S. universities and medical institutions which were and are partaking in Fauci money because he owns it all, controls it all, and because he disperses it all. All those university whores have been and are continuing doing gain-of-function research and pursuing other murderous endeavors in the name of science. That is,
I represent science.
In the name of Fauci because he's the funniest fucker on earth. I am science. Knock, knock. Who's there? Science. Now bend over. Take that, Andrew Dice Clay. And by the way, we're not talking about the good kind of university whores, who are wonderful. Wonderful. Just wanted to clarify, the university whores that we hate are in the research sciencey departments, so not the hot ones.
Gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing.
No future virologist PhDs in that particular cohort. And so, now that we know this was all just a joke from a master prankster in a tiny lab coat, I will do my best not to continue to be a snarky jerk and call people really, really dumb for buying into this repeated pattern of murderous BS machine, except for masks. If you did wear a mask, and for fuck's sake, if you're wearing one now, for anything but a thong, anyway, you're an idiot. And that's all I have to say about that. For a minute, which is how long it took to realize what a ridiculous dress-up loser virtual signal that was. And is. All right, okay, but I guess it was just a joke to see if you would do it. And you did. Okay, so since it turns out this was just a comedy, we definitely won't detail the myocarditis increases, including with children, because that's not funny. But we will note an increase in pericarditis, which is inflammation of the sac around the heart. because that's funny, and this is a comedy show, and anytime you can mention problems with your sack, you should.
I'd like to talk to you about your testes.
You might have to have older brothers for that.
These unfortunate souls are suffering from ESS.
Maybe, but we will be employing the ridiculian polemic, which I totally invented, and Saul Alinsky can suck it. And even though I can't say it's turning out to be more efficacious than Anthony Fauci's scientifically rigorous and hilarious declaration that wearing a soiled diaper on your stupid face while walking through a restaurant and removing it to eat and sneeze and pick your nose upon reaching your table is a life-saving measure. Which he fucking did.
The most rigorous and comprehensive analysis of scientific studies conducted on the efficacy of masks. There is just no evidence that masks, make any difference. What about the N95 masks? Makes no difference, none of it. Well, what about the studies that initially persuaded policymakers to impose mask mandates?
Yeah, but there are other studies.
But what about your sack, you might ask? Well, you know what? You didn't mention that. Maybe on Fauci's OnlyFans, but Cardi B sure did. A quote from Miss B. My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen.
Enlarged scrotum syndrome.
Friend was weeks away from getting married, now the girl called off the wedding. Which is weird. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied. I think we can all agree with Miss B and add, never be bullied by anyone who's smaller than one's testicular giganticism. Which leads us naturally to celebrity types calling for death to the unvaxxed. A lot of hysterical, irrelevant weirdos like Howard Stern, a perfect example of a high school loser, got power and fame and all the money and is still a loser. More than ever. Or the desperate to be relevant again, like Gene Simmons of Kiss.
You don't want to get vaccinated? Are you a moron? Yeah, they're the enemy. You are one pathetic loser. Oh, you're going to get a mass beating.
Or Arnold, my dad's a literal Nazi. Schwarzenegger.
Screw your freedom.
And the usual A-lister scum, just pathetic attention whores or regular whores. But the crazy even affected some fun ones like Taylor Swift and Nicki Minaj. Not together. Pretty sure Miss Swift's football stud boyfriend has little interest in a threesome with, well, women. All right, wait. So when I was a kid, I played drums a bit, and I was goofing around with drumsticks in a record store. Yes, it was a while ago. So walking around, playing with drumsticks, desperate for attention. Yeah, way to evolve. Shut up. But I was young then, and shut up. But I was young then, and the store manager said, "Hey, you're good. Do you want to be in a group called Menage a Trois?" Well, this is when Prince was big, not tall, but, popular. Tiny and popular, like Joe Rogan. So he asked, "Do you want to join this band with these two scantily clad chicks like a Prince thing?" He's like, "You know what Menage a Trois means, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." No, I still don't. I still don't. Anyway, Nicki Minaj. That's a great name. So as we know, everything liberals say is a lie. Everything they believe is a fraud. Like Mandela was actually a terrorist. Gandhi was fantastically racist and joined the army to murder blacks because Black Lives mattered a lot to Gandhi, but not in a good way. Not the same as BLM. Actually, the same as BLM, you scam fuckers. Right, more lies. So it turns out Susan B. Anthony was a dude, or a tranny, or both.
It's a man
baby.
And Stacy the Tank Abrams was not actually named after the Abrams tank, even though she's built like one. How about this? The Dutch. Whitey. Whiter than Sean King and Rachel Dolezal. You know those white idiots who pretend to be black and libs go with it? Rachel Dolezal was pink. Painfully pink. And not as black as Dave Chappelle, even though he's really just a white guy from the suburbs. It gets confusing. Joe Rogan is not funny at all unless you count the 1,000 anal probe fantasies per one comedy special thing.
The alien anal probe, we all know.
Well, not really a comedy special, not like Fauci funny level. Anyway, Rogan's is more of his fantasy about leading the Pride Parade. Remember, putting the anal in analogy is what I'm trying to do. But putting the anal in a trip to the grocery store is more of a Joe Rogan thing.
Make 'em love
Which
it.
doesn't seem healthy, especially in the produce section. Anyway, the Dutch invented braids and apparently exported them to Africa and then apparently onto Whoopi's big fat retarded head.
Gotta talk about your hair. I can't take it. I was gonna. Okay.
Remember when her date, the Cheers guy, showed up in blackface? No braids, though. That would be cultural appropriation. And who cares? I know. But always be mocking. So, how about some more? Lives love from the river to the sea. But it turns out that doesn't quite mean giving Palestinians a nice new parking lot where Israel was. Actually, yes, it does. For Hanukkah, maybe Ramadan. It's not very neighborly. It's not very Christian. That's not racist. It's funny. Maybe both. But by the way, the pro-Palestine crazy is actually just the usual hating because they're white. The Jews, comparatively white compared to Palestinians, which means they're bad, so kill them in the name of peace or whatever. Speaking of kind of white, Italians. We didn't bitch when the Democrats became the top crime family. One day, Michael, we'll have Senator Corleone.
Senator Corleone.
In a very large pantsuit. Just kidding, Hillary. Just kidding, Hillary. Plus, I can't do Brando. It still sounds like Fauci, that fuck. That funny fuck. The point is, liberals are idiots, and the Democrat Party is a crime family of idiots. You know who would really have something to say about the authoritarian crime family COVID move? Another murder enthusiast, the Unabomber. Not as cool looking as Che Guevara, that sexy homicidal rapist that libs love.
Chase the celebrity that celebrities adore. That's him on Johnny Depp's Match.
But the Unabomber, and he sold some merch too, he was a really smart guy that comes out of Harvard batshit crazy because they experimented on him, tortured and abused, and didn't tell him and scrambled his big brain. Sound familiar? Tortured, abused, experimented on. That's you, except the big brain part. He was right about the evils of tech, especially when harnessed by the tyrants for, gosh, I don't know, maybe jabbing nanobots into your arm, which are now swimming around your bloodstream like predator drones. But it's okay, because it was just a funny Fauci joke. That's a relief. So again, the weaponized lies. Remember those PCR tests that were and are still all the rage?
One day the test is positive, the next day the test is negative.
Trust your doctor, follow the science, swab up the nose, branding iron up the bum, whatever, we're saving lives here, right? And don't forget your I'm vaccinated 14 times sticker for Facebook, if that's still a thing. Or tattoo it on your forehead, which should be a thing to remember the stupid.
So guess what I want? A new brain.
But PCR tests were so manipulated that increasing the frequency to like 60K showed COVID positive from your great-great-great-great-great-grandpa's skin knee that was licked by a chicken in 1862. The pandemic of chicken licking was a big deal back then. But the point is, the PCR tests were bullshit, still are. COVID positive, my flat ass.
Come on now.
COVID is real, the tests are bullshit. So, continuing the profoundly comical, metaphorical, analogous stuff, anal swabs were, I don't know, the perfect symbol of getting fucked by Big Pharma or that little chicken fucker Fauci in the bum. Remember, putting the anal in analogous is a large part of what I'm trying to do, also known as celebrating Pride Month or Joe Rogan's Netflix special. Can you believe we're celebrating the defining feature of a person's character? Anal sex. I'm no Dr. Jill, but that can't be good for anybody. But failure to do so is punishable by death, so celebrate it. But maybe don't do it. I don't think that's mandated yet, right? Possibly in Congress. Boy Scouts, definitely Hollywood, but that's...
Man, everyone's gay once in a while.
I'm not gay.
That's another episode. Wait, right, speaking of that. So, did you hear that Thailand is okaying gay marriage, which is going to be tough on how to classify the Ladyboys Union? Ladyboy Pipefitters, Local 69, you guys. And more trouble for other perv aficionados of sex with kids' vacations.
Kevin Spacey, Bruce Willis, Kate Blanchett, Cameron Diaz,
Naomi Campbell, and David Copperfield.
Can't think of anybody famous.
Other celebrities in that list includes allegedly Leonardo DiCaprio, Michael Jackson, Pope John Paul II.
You know, important, who would do such a thing.
The scientist allegedly attended a sex party at that island.
Unrelated, did you hear about Kevin Spacey's I'm Poor, Non-Mea Culpa, which is a great name for a sex worker in D.C. Mea Culpa, not Spacey.
Why is it being foreclosed? Because I can't pay the bills that I owe.
Maybe both.
First thing I learned on the job, you know what it was? How to spot a creeping scumbag.
Spacey, who has nothing to do with the aforementioned ladyboys. Hey, did you know in Thailand they're called kinzingers? Anyway, Spacey is going.
It's tough.
Spacey is going with golly, I'm only human and now I'm poor, so can't we forget about the silly allegations and remember how cool I am?
Who?
The answer is, of course, yes. So he and Harvey Weinstein can start a production company for rapey pedo pervs. Well, restart a production company for rapey pedo pervs. Probably just call it Hollywood. But this time they'll know they're being filmed, unlike Bill Gates and Bill Clinton on Epstein Island. Not like together, that's gross. Just filmed with little girls, which is fine with anybody who appreciates good TV. Right, Meryl Streep, your standing ovation favorite, child-drugging, anal-raping, Academy Award-winning Roman Polanski.
The Oscar goes to Roman Polanski.
The Rosemary's Baby Guy, great film where Mia Farrow looks like a tween and is naked a bunch and fucked by the devil. Once more, as a public service, we're putting the anal in analogy. Plus, fucked by the devil, I think, is the motto of the COVID response team. Yep. Okay, so a huge portion of the legitimately thousands of COVID deaths, which did happen, but as nature generally does, it affected the old and obese, and if you add the galactically stupid, you have the whoopee cohort. And that's science. Though sadly, Whoopi has not yet succumbed to COVID or diabetes or being a really horrible person. A real tragedy. Anyway, natural tragedies aside, a huge number of COVID deaths were not from COVID, but from Fauci favorite remdesivir, for which they lied about, hid everything about, and faked everything about, and because we'll call them vax enthusiasts rather than amoral murderous whores.
Data shows that remdesivir has a clear-cut, significant positive effect. You dick!
As they suppressed, mocked, and even made illegal made illegal the stuff that works, like early treatment with ivermectin and riding Joe Rogan's horse. Something like that. I wonder if it's a miniature pony. By the way, Rogan was a lockdown enthusiast, so he's plenty culpable, and he owns comedy, so now I'm fucked. Not as bad as taking the vax, but fucked. But, pause, fucked.
Put something in his ass.
Plus he could kick my ass with his pinky. His tiny pinky. Anyway, these medical professionals, I believe the accepted nomenclature is pricks, actually said, go home, get sick enough to require hospitalization, and come back to the hospital. Seriously, they did that. But of course, now we know it was just a joke. Obviously.
Because I represent science.
So that makes way more sense. But noticing patterns here, before it does kill...
Patients were not given informed consent about the potential dangers of taking the drug remdesivir.
Which it does.
The World Health Organization could not be any clearer in its advice today. It does not recommend the use of antiviral drug remdesivir.
Hospitals tell patients they have COVID pneumonia. They're placed on remdesivir, then isolated from their families, put in an ICU, intubated, and if they resist, they're tied down and sedated.
Nurses call it run, death is near, or something cheeky like that.
And the average time to death for somebody in this situation is, as I understand it, about 9 days.
The kicker, remdesivir is said to mimic COVID organ failure, mimic as opposed to causing COVID organ failure. But it's not all lies like Mandela the terrorist is really an angel. Libs are right about some things. Clarence Thomas did start the KKK, and Michelle Obama and Leah Thomas should definitely share a locker room and a Speedo. But that's another episode. Which leads us naturally to separate water fountains and AIDS. I know, creating division is a favorite technique for the bad guys. Balkanization, they love that shit. Men versus women, black versus white versus black men versus white women versus black women who hate that but wear fucked up wigs and Dutch braids to be white women. Good Lord. Trans versus the universe based on reality. That sort of thing. Get them fighting by race and class and sex. All the sexes, I guess. Classic commie shit. But separate water fountains like 60 years ago when racism was still a thing, although anti-white racism and anti-vax bigotry, that's definitely still a thing.
Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo? Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Go fuck yourself.
But separate fountains means you at least have your own fountain, which sounds great. So why don't trans want their own bathroom?
I dare you to try and stop me from going into a woman's bathroom.
Bless, you better have fun boiled.
I want my own bathroom, not this Jack and Jill sharing a shitty little bathroom real estate jive. And I don't think it means Jack pretends to be Jill to share the bathroom with little girls.
If you were born a boy, you stay a boy.
Ha! Not sure. Just be consistent and don't touch kids. Even if you're pretending you're in the correct bathroom, you ridiculous fucking pervs.
And an attendant from the restroom asked to see my ID. You didn't ask anybody else.
It's a man, baby. Be grateful is the point, and shut up already. It's not racism or transphobia. It's good old-fashioned bigotry where you hate everything equally. Egalitarianism? Diversity? Maybe? Not sure. It's really just about being against weaponized real estate terms. Plus trans because they're crazy.
That is what the trans genocide in this country has brought me to.
At least that wasn't weird.
And Africa doesn't even have tons of water fountains or like indoor plumbing. Well, they had some, but tore out the copper pipes in South Africa and used them to anal probe white farmers. Actually, that's not true. The nice Mandela types used the pipes to roast the farmers on a spit. You know, justice.
I wonder what I'm gonna taste like.
With a dash of man meat and a pinch of lady parts.
Anyway, Africa doesn't have separate but equal water fountains for AIDS, but maybe we could ship the plastic water bottles from San Francisco Airport and solve everything. Let's get Dr. Jill working on the calculus.
The Bogotas of the Bronx.
But I feel great about it. And what does this have to do with COVID? A lot, actually. We have Fauci crimes against humanity.
The control group was known to kill people, and the experimental control group was actually theoretically maybe going to kill people. And what we did was we actually went ahead and murdered them all.
Testing AIDS vaxes on African kids with no informed consent.
Taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
In 2020, many of the Gates, Fauci, HIV vaccine trials in Africa suddenly became COVID-19 vaccine trials.
Which is simpler to call lies, murderous fucking lies, baby jokes, and expanding the definition of AIDS like COVID variants pushing to a single vax solution. Could say final solution, but that's a bit rich. And we have the dreaded unvax being fired, despised, and put on trains to unvax camps.
Like in Australia, for instance, where they had quarantine camps, and so especially if you had COVID or you exposed someone with COVID, you'd be driven to this camp, and it looked like a prison facility.
Skip right over the separate water fountains a bit, didn't you, you cheeky pricks? So how about that itch? Nothing? Nothing yet? You sure? Okay. Or do you think the unvaxxed are bad, evil, and should be snuffed out like Hillary's favorite lawyer or any of those other 50 folks she apparently didn't like? Just kidding. If they can do it, I can too. But come on, show of hands, who wanted to kill the anti-vax scum who were killing grandma? Follow up, who has little appreciation for irony? This guy. Yeah. How about you, young lady with the purple hair? Still want them dead or me dead? And I'm not even a baby. Man, libs love murdering babies like Bill Gates loves murdering barbecues to save the world from by forcing everybody to eat fake meat, poison, chemical crab cakes, whatever. But can't we just get together on something? Baby meat barbecues. No, you don't want to shout your abortion baby back rib style. Front row. Bet the vegans are down. No, not you, honey. Bye. Leaving unsatisfied like a lesbian who hates men but runs out of double D batteries every weekend. Man, lips they're a tough crowd. Good thing this live show is fake, like COVID. Just the cure, not the disease. Shut up already. So anyway, libs, they believe anything. Vegetarian diets for dogs who are all descendants of wolves. Rory, you guys. You take down the wildebeest and I'll make us some muffins. And they still believe the vax is safe and effective. Miracle brought to you by Pfizer. Quick example, but a very telling example about what we're dealing with here, who we're dealing with here. So during the Pfizer trial, Maggie DeGray, a 14-year-old that's 14, so 0%. Zero chance of COVID death.
Not one of the 72 vaccines mandated for children has ever been safety tested.
Suffered severe neurological injuries, seizures, and permanent paralysis. Wait, that's not the best part. Pfizer reported that she had a stomachache. And that's all you need to know about these fuckers, these funny motherfuckers. But let's learn some